See, I thought she was going to start in the middle. Can we get this?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So my name is Angela Luget. You can tell from my accent that I wasn't born here. I was born and raised in Nigeria. I moved to Scotland and met my husband, who was born in Klamath Falls, was living in Peck, Idaho at the time. And, you know, I eventually moved to the United States to be with my husband. And, you know, when I moved from Nigeria was colonized by Britain. So our national language is English. We have over 300 other languages. And so when I moved from Nigeria to Britain, I thought, you know, I spoke good English. And, you know, so when I talked to people, they would say, where is that accent from? And I said, well, I really didn't know I had one until I came here. And then when I moved to the United States, I realized I had to learn English all over again. You know, because I didn't realize there were different English dialects. And as you know, I work in the long-term care industry. When I was in Helena, Montana, I went down to the kitchen, actually. The residents were having a meal. And I said to the kitchen aide that there were no cutleries on the table. And he looked at me and said, cutlery? I said, you don't know what a cutlery is? He said, I don't know what you're talking about. I said, it's a fork, knife, and spoon. And he said, oh, you mean silverware? Oh, I'm sorry. You know, and on another day I went down and I needed, you know, I met the same guy. I said, I need a jug. And he looked at me, a jug? I said, you don't know a jug? You put water in and you pour it out. You mean a pitcher? Ah, I'm sorry. And then I had to learn that, you know, you say pants, not trousers. You say in the UK, you say trousers, and over here you say pants. And then we say boots, and you say trunk. And then we say ground beef and his hamburgers. I remember my husband coming to Scotland before I joined him, and he said, you know, we need to go get some hamburgers, and we were going to Walmart. I said, no, you don't get hamburgers in Walmart, you go to McDonald's. He said, no, there's hamburgers in Walmart. I said, no, you don't get hamburgers in Walmart, you go to McDonald's. He said, come on, I'll show you. And we went to the meat aisle, and we got ground beef, and he said, that's hamburgers. Yay! So that's right. So just in case my brain switches from British English to, you know, from American to British, just bear with me, raise your hands, I don't get offended, tell me to repeat myself, and I'll figure out a way to communicate it to you, okay? I said that to say this, however, that I have fallen in love with this personality profile for many years. I became, a little bit about my background, I have a bachelor's in microbiology, I have a master's degree in business administration, I have another master's degree in human resource management, I'm certified as a life coach, I'm certified as a behavioral consultant and analyst, and of all the personality profiles that I've ever been exposed to me, the DISC factor has been the best. People ask me what's the difference between the DISC and the Myers-Briggs. How many of you have ever done the Myers-Briggs? Okay, so the Myers-Briggs measures the internal thinking pattern of a person. The DISC factor measures the external behavior. That is the major difference between the two of them. And there is, you see, one thing about this, I say I'm a happily married woman today thanks to my knowledge of DISC. People are different, but people are predictably different. When you understand why people act the way they do, it helps you adjust your expectations from people, and you're less disappointed because you know what to expect. That is why I encourage people, every opportunity you get to learn why people act the way they do, seize it. It will reduce your stress level, it will reduce the number of times you're unhappy, and because you kind of know what to expect from people, and the less disappointed you are by people, the happier you are. Okay? So, another reason, you know, I promote the DISC factor is, of course, you become a better communicator. Like I said, there are different English dialects. Every one of us in this room have a different dialect when it comes to being motivated. So when you understand people's motivational dialect, you're better able to motivate them. When you understand why people act the way they do, you're better able to communicate with them. And when you understand why people act the way they do, you're better able to appreciate the differences in others, you're able to resolve conflicts, and positively influence others. We did send out a 7-minute analysis profile to everyone. I'm not going to have you do it right now. I'm going to talk you through the whole process. You can do it after if you haven't done it. Did anybody do it? Let me just see. Great. Okay. A few people did. Okay, so like I said, this is a measure of the observable personality traits and a powerful predictor of future behavior. This is universally accepted and highly validated instrument for measuring behavioral tendencies. This provides a common language for talking about human behavior and provides a doorway to open communication. I'm going to skip because of time. So there are 4 behavioral styles. Everyone is a combination of all 4. We just have different measures of it. If you did the analysis, that was sent to you, you would notice that there was a graph. You're supposed to plot the graph, and everything above the midline are your dominant traits. So you all have this, I think it's the 2nd page. So when you add up the points on the 1st page, and you plot them on the graph on the 2nd page, everything above the midline is what are dominant in that particular person. Okay? So we have the D, we have the I, we have the S, and the C. D is for dominant, I influencing, S for steady, and C for consensus. This is everywhere. I'm going to give you now, tell you a few stories to just kind of help you identify either a D or I, an S, or a C. So let's assume you go to the elevator. They have call it elevator?
Elevator.
Yes. Okay, so you go to an elevator, and are you the guy that gets in there and you just punch, you want it to open right now, you want to get in there, you press the number that you're going to, and you want it to move right away? Or are you the person that gets to that door and you kind of press it, and boy, there are 6 other people getting into that place, and you're excited because you have a captive audience? Oh, what level are you going to? What floor are you going? Isn't it a beautiful day today? So the guy that gets to that elevator and punches it is like, get open now, let me get to where I'm going to. That's a D. The person that sees 3 other people already in there, and they go, wow, isn't it a beautiful day today? What floor are you going to? That's the I. Are you the person who likes, you're standing there and the elevator is taking time to come down, and you go, well, it's okay, I may take the stairs. There's no need to be anxious about this, and it's okay, I'll just take the stairs, or I'll just wait. There's no hurry. That's the S personality style. Are you the kind that gets into that elevator and your eyes is looking at maximum capacity, 250 pounds, and at the back of your mind, you're measuring, are we over 250 pounds in here? That's the C personality style. Okay, I'll tell you another story. Let's say you're flying, okay? And are you that person that gets into the airplane and you see that armrest is just a nuisance to you? As soon as the person sitting next to you takes their hands off, you own it. That's a D. Or you're the person who sits in that airplane and, the person sitting next to you just mistakenly bumps into you. Yeah, hi, my name is Angela. What's your name? Where are you going to? That's the I personality. Or you're that person that sits on that chair and you look at the armrest and you say to yourself, you know what, 50% of that armrest belongs to me, I paid for it, and so you want 50, your hands are placed on half of it, the other person gets half of it because you paid for 50% of that armrest, so you own 50% of it. You are the C personality. Or are you that person that gets into the airplane and you really want to set your hands on there, but the other person is already taking it, and even though you're traveling to Australia, it doesn't really matter. It's okay, I can do without it. You don't want the confrontation. So long as they're happy, you're the S personality style. Okay? Let's see. So the D's. So when you think of a D, you think of the dominant, direct, decisive people. 3% of the human population are said to be Ds, and someone said, you know what, if they're more than that, we'll be at war all the time. Examples of D personality styles: our current president, Oprah Winfrey, Martha Stewart, Simon Cowell. So do you know someone that's assertive, always on the bottom line, forceful, direct, strong-willed? They are examples of your D personality style. I's. These are your influencing, inspiring, interested in people, and we're told 11% of the human population fall into this category. These are examples of your I personalities: Chris Rock, Lucy Ball, Whoopi Goldberg, and Robin Williams. They're very optimistic people, they're friendly, they're talkative, very motivational, inspiring. Those are your I personality styles. S, stable, steady, secure. Have a lot of common sense. Don't like confrontation. 69% of the human population fall into this category. 69%. Now, do you have any family members who are great listeners and great team players? They are your S personality style. So, Mother Teresa, Will Smith, Paula Abdul, Ray Romano are examples of your S personality style. The C styles are compliant, they are correct, they are controlled, they are your perfectionist, very detail-oriented, and 17% of the human population fall into this category. Examples of your C personalities: Bill Gates, Condoleezza Rice, Mr. Spock, and Christy Yamaguchi. Okay, so they enjoy facts and details, they're very thorough, precise, sensitive, analytical, and they're examples of your C. And I typically say, if a C says to you, I am sure of this, they are sure of it. Now let's see. What style is your mom or dad? Just something to think about. Now, I'm going to skip this because of time. Now I'm going to go to that. So, this is what I trained at the Institute of Behavioral Analysis, and this is what we believe, that there are contributing factors to each person's behavioral style. Your genes, role models in your life up to the age of 12, and the experiences that you go through after the age of 8. All of those contribute to what your style eventually turns out to be. However, your environment does impact on your style. Some people teach that personality styles are unchangeable, but I actually differ on that opinion, because mankind was designed in such a way that we're quite adaptable and I'll say pliable. So sometimes if you look around you, even just think about yourself, you may be different at work than you are at home, because the demands of your work environment require something else from you than your home environment. So environment does greatly impact on people's personality. There are some people that are the same at work, at home, and in their social life. Some people are that way, but some people are different. It depends on how well a person has mastered their style and how well they have learned either to augment. There's something called augmentation, meaning even if my environment demands a different style from me, I don't have to. Let's say I'm an I, and I don't necessarily like a lot of details. So instead of changing myself in my work environment to be more detail-oriented, I pair up with somebody who is detail-oriented and allow them to take that burden off of me. So I'm augmenting. So you can either augment or you can do what they call style shifting. Style shifting helps when you're really communicating with people. For instance, I's are very, they're talkative, they like, I call them, they have words generating machine inside of them. They're never short of words. They have something to say at any point in time. You know, and let's say you are a C personality who is very non-verbal, and you are with an I. You can do two things. You can be the active listener, the I won't mind. So long as you have ears to listen, they're ready to do all the talking. They don't need you, you know, they don't need your help. So you can be, you can be the active listener, you know, but where style shifting really comes into place, or what they call blending, is let's say you are a C or an S and you're communicating with a D. The D and I's are very direct communicators. They look you in your eyes, they talk directly to you. So if you're a C and S are indirect communicators. They don't necessarily look you in your eyes, they may look away and things like that when they're talking. But for a C and an S communicating with a D and an I who fully understands their personality style, when you're talking to a D, it's okay to be direct. It's okay to look them in the eyes. So you talk to a D, you're looking them in the eyes, you're direct, you're straight to the point, bottom line count, you're not wasting their time, your style shifting. So you're moving from your style to their style just to enhance that communication. Okay? And same thing if you're talking with an I, it's okay to be direct. You know, you look them in the eyes, you're straight to the point, yeah, you let them do a lot of the talking, then you do a lot of listening, and your style shifting. Okay? So that helps in communication. Okay? Let's see. I'll skip because of time. What I'm trying to do, guys, this is a graph I was talking about. So when you plot your graph, whatever your highest point is, whatever your highest point is what your primary style is. Like I said, we're all a combination of all four. Okay, so most likely you will have two above what I call the midline, and those two above the midline are kind of your dominant style. The ones below the midline, it doesn't mean that they can't shift depending on the circumstance and situation. You know, there is an assessment that I actually do with clients. I did own a life coaching business, and I use this a lot in my life coaching business. And there is an assessment I do with clients that actually gives me 3 different graphs. The first graph tells me who they are in public. The middle graph tells me who they are when they are under pressure. Then the last graph tells me how they see themselves. So if you plot your graph, you find out that for some people, the first, the second, and the third graphs tends to be different. It depends on where they are in their life, what's going on around them. These points really does matter, but this is a 30-minute presentation, so I'm not going to go into that. What you have is a sampler guide, okay? It will give you an idea of what your style is. But just know that these points can shift depending on the season of life that you're in, depending on the environment, and depending on what's going on. Okay? When I did my graph like 10 years ago, and I do my assessment today, I am amazed. Because, you know, seasons have changed for me. I'll let you guess what I am later. I'm trying very hard not to say, but some of you have probably guessed. Don't say anything. Okay, so let me move. Let's see. Okay, the D. We're coming back to that. This measures a desire to respond to challenges. The emotion that the D actually measures is like the emotion of anger. So the higher the D, the more quick to anger the person is. Okay, the lower the D, the less quick to anger that they are. They are motivated by results. They like to accomplish a lot. They like action. They like goals. Again, they're dominant and they're direct. 3% of the population fall into this category. Like I said, this is everywhere. When it comes to things like eating, you know, a D, their menu does not necessarily change a lot. They eat fast, they copy down, talk while they're eating, just the way they are. So you can actually tell people's style from just watching them eat. You can tell people's style from the way they dress. You can tell people's style from the way they walk, the way they carry themselves. It oozes out. The more you get to know this, the more you're able to tell people's style just from maybe less than 5 minutes with them. And that way you're able to communicate more, better with the people, okay? These, when it comes to driving, my goodness, because these tend to want to accomplish so much more in a short frame of time more than is humanly possible for anybody else. So when it comes to driving, man, they speed, yes. But you know what? They hardly get the tickets. You know why? They're smart enough to look at the rearview mirror and they're looking out for the cops, okay? So they know when to speed and they know when to slow down. Okay. They get a lot accomplished though. Okay, I'm jumping ahead of myself. So these are general highlights for the Ds. Like I said earlier on, they are direct, decisive, they have high ego strength, so sometimes it makes it difficult for a D to accept that they're wrong. And they are risk takers, they are self-starters, they motivate their environment, they don't need the environment to motivate them. And they are problem solvers. The value they bring to a team, they are, they place very high value on time. So when you're talking to a D, respect their time, they don't have time to waste, go straight to the point. No time to, chit-chat, no. You lose a D at that point, okay? They are very innovative, they dislike routine, they're easily bored, they may overstep authorities, and they can be argumentative. Okay, how about going to gas station to buy gas? The D is the person who goes in there, pumps the gas, and gets into the car, they go. The I gets in there, and they're hoping there's an attendant there to chat with, okay? And the C gets in there and they're checking what is the price of gas today, and they're most likely to get the receipt. These are least likely to get a receipt at a gas station. Again, sometimes it depends on what your secondary style is. That could also play into your personality style. Okay, the I's, we said it measures the desire to influence and persuade others. One of the emotions that the I actually measures is the emotion of optimism. Remember I said the D is anger, the I is optimism. The higher the I, the more optimistic a person is. The lower the I, the more pessimistic they tend to be. Okay? They're motivated by recognition, popularity, enjoyment. I's are the types that will not do a thing if they're not having fun. So you want to get an I on board, make sure that whatever you're talking about involves fun. Let's see. Like I said, enthusiastic, trusting, optimistic, encourager, persuasive, outgoing. The value they bring to a team, they negotiate very well. If you work in an environment and you're trying to sell an idea to the team, send your I. If your I can buy into it, you're good. Just step aside, let your I go do the sales for you. They will persuade, they know how to negotiate, they know how to trade. You do this and I'll do this. You do that and I'll do that, okay? So they're very good at that. I say I's can sell I to an Eskimo. Ice to an Eskimo, okay? They can sell a refrigerator in the North Pole. So possible limitations, they prefer popularity, inattentive to details, low results, focus, may overuse gestures. S measures the desires for stability and resistance to change. Now, the emotion that the S also measures is the emotion of is the ability to show emotion. To be honest with you, because the S are they don't show their emotion. They're very self-controlled. So the higher the S is, the less likely you're able to read them based on their expression. Okay. Let me tell you something about the S. The fact that you're talking to an S and they're nodding their head and they're not arguing with you and they are going, it doesn't mean they agree with you and it doesn't mean they'll do that thing. So don't be carried away with them, No, okay? So just remember that. Remember 69% of the human population are S? Just remember that too. Or they have S as a secondary. Okay? So they are motivated by relationships, they're very loyal, helpful, sincere appreciation, they really love that, the focus actually is on sincere, because if you're not being sincere, they know, okay? You may not be able to read them, but they can read you, okay? Just bear that in mind. They like a team environment, they're social and they're stable. Let's see, I think oh, yes. Another possible limitation of the S is that they can hold grudges, okay? They can remember what was done to them 20 years ago, so just remember that. They're very, very sensitive. But they can be when you have an S as a friend, they are friends indeed. They're very, very loyal. S's are people that if you hire them as an employee and they agree to work for you, they rarely switch jobs. They rarely. That mindset of the devil you know is better than the angel you don't know really works with the S. Because they like stability, they like security. So it will not be surprising when I go to a company and I find somebody who's been there for 20 years, I'm telling you they do have an S above the midline. Remember the graph that I showed you? I'll be surprised, if they don't have an S above the midline. Loyal, stable, if you sincerely appreciate them, they could put their life on the line for you. That's the S personality. Thank goodness there's 69% of S in our world. C's. It measures the desire to comply with rules and regulation. The higher the C value, the stronger the desire to be compliant, correct, and detailed. Let me just chip in something with the C. They like rules because rules make it fair. The S, rules makes it safe. For the D, rules are to be broken. They don't like rules. For the I's, rules make it boring. Okay? However, with the C's, they like rules and they comply with rules so long as they actually agree with it. I have to throw that in there because if they don't agree with those rules, then they will get facts and details and evidences why those rules should not be there, and they will push and push and push until something is done about it. They can be passive aggressive too. Okay, so motivated by if you do it, better do it right. Okay, that's the type of error. Facts and data, they like information is power to the C, they like rules and systems, they are made to be followed. As far as the C is concerned, give me the rules and I'll obey it, and when I obey your rules, you better be telling me I'm doing a good job. Don't criticize me when I obey your rules. Okay? Did I talk about the I is driving? Oh, when an I is driving, they can be erratic. Okay, they speed up and all of a sudden they lose interest, it becomes boring and they slow down. Sometimes the I's are dangerous drivers because if they have a passenger in the car, they are the type that are driving and they want to look you in the face while they're driving. And you're like, can you please, the C's would go like, can you please keep your eyes on the road? I can hear you with my ears. And then the C's are typically the ones that will get pulled over for maybe driving below the speed limit because they plan ahead of time, they have the map, everything is they plan ahead of time. They don't just head out to any place without having a plan in place. Then the S are the slowest one. Oh my goodness, there are hazards on the road because they're so slow. And of course, if a D is driving behind an S, oh my goodness, they're shaking their head and yeah, okay. So, C's are very picky when it comes to eating, okay? They're picky about what they eat. It takes them forever to make up their mind on what they want to eat. When they finally make up their mind, they save all the food, they eat it. The S would eat, they don't like confrontation, so they will eat anything that is, because they don't want anybody to be unhappy. 5 minutes? 10? Okay, thank you. All right, let's see. So C's, now, 10 minutes, so I'm going to do this. The D and the I's are your outgoing people. Then the C and the S are your introverts. So D and I's are your extroverts, the C and S are your introverts. One thing though about your extroverts, they are people energized. So an I might have been out, let's say, partying or something, and they come home and they're like, yes, what are we going to do next? Because they're people energized. Then the C and the S are people drained. That's why if you have a C and an S, let's say for those that are married, if your spouse is a C and an S and they go to work and they work with people, they come home, they're drained. Not because they don't want to talk to you, they just need time to recharge and they'll talk. And the D and the C are very task-oriented. So they value people on the basis of their achievements, what you do. That's how they place value. The I and the S are people-oriented. It's not about what you do, it's about who you are. Okay? People are different, but people are predictably different. You ask a D and a C, how was your day? Oh, it was great. I did this. You ask an I and an S, how was your day? Oh, it was fun. I met this. Okay? And let me see, what else do I, since I have 10 minutes, let me think of what else I need to share with you that would really help you as you relate to people. Just give me a second. Okay, you want to motivate, I said we all speak different motivational languages. You want to motivate a D, tell them they can't do something. And they'll prove to you they can. You want to motivate an I, I'm looking for my glasses, I don't know what I am.
Your right hand.
Oh, there you go. You want to motivate an I, tell them you can do it. That was why when the last president ran, what was his slogan? Yes, we can. He was an I. The current president is a D. So you want to motivate an S, just say, let's do it together. The minute you bring in, we're doing it together, you got an S. You want to motivate a C, give them a plan, or better still, let them come up with a plan. But let them know that you're interested in them doing it right, okay, in getting it right. Let's see. They say technical skills account for 15% of success in a workplace. Your people skills account for 85% of your success in a workplace. That is why I said at the beginning, if you're going to do anything, if you ever ever have an opportunity to learn about why people act the way they do, I want to encourage you to seize those opportunities. In your workplace, the D's and the I's tend to take on too much. They want to do everything. Oh, yes, I can. Oh, yes, we need somebody to do that. They'll volunteer. Yes, they can do it. Yes, they can do it. The C and the S, they rarely take on more than they can do. D and I's are people energized. I already said that. The C and the S are people drained. Now, the C and the S are wired to come up with plans that would prevent an emergency situations. They make decisions to prevent the unexpected. That is where their strength lies. However, your D and an I are your experts when there are emergencies. They are fast, they think quick, they are very creative, they have ideas. So they come in, they are your experts. When you have emergencies, these ones are your experts to prevent emergencies. So you see, we need everyone. You need every style in your team. You just need to understand their strength. You need to understand their growth areas. We all have growth areas, every single one of us. Every style has a growth area. The D's, like I said, are very task-oriented, but they have to learn to remember that you can manage tasks, but you have to learn to lead people. So, because the thing with the D is the tendency to be rough, and insensitive to people's emotions. They don't get that part of people, because they're very task-oriented. The I's are very motivational and very inspirational, but they have to learn that details also count. So, you have to, and I's don't like making decisions that will hurt anyone. And if you're in a leadership position, sometimes those decisions have to be made. So, for the C's, they have to, let me go to the S. The S have to learn to speed up sometimes, because the S are your slow, then you're steady, okay? And they just have to learn to pick up the pace from time to time, because sometimes when opportunities come, not every opportunity comes twice. So they have to learn to pick up the pace and make quick decisions. Same goes with the C, because they like a lot of details, they like a lot of precedence to make decisions. The C's are typically the ones that will ask, what did we do in the past? They don't believe in reinventing the wheel. But for the C's, you also have to learn to take risk. Okay? It's okay to take risks. There's some risks you take that will benefit the whole team. Let me see. How many minutes? 5 to? 5? Oh my goodness, are you kidding me? I have 5 minutes? Let's see. Okay. Okay, 5 minutes. I'll talk about the dominant fears, because that helps you in relating with people. The dominant fear of the D is the fear of being taken advantage of. The dominant fear of the I is a fear of rejection. The dominant fear of the C is conflict. The dominant fear of the S is change. So if you're going to implement change in the family, in the business, give the S long notice. Let them know way ahead of time. Don't spring anything on an S. You'll mess up their world. Okay, give them enough notice and make sure you're letting them know that everything is going to be okay. Show them how things are going to be okay if that change happens. Because remember, they don't like change. They are motivated by security. So if you want to get them on board, you need to help them communicate that part of that change to them. The I, like I said, they fear rejection. They are motivated by praise. Every one of these styles control. We just control differently. Okay? The D's we control with force of character. The I's we control with persuasiveness, verbal persuasion. The S we control based on relationship. The C we control using facts and data and evidence. So every style does have the potential to control, and every style can lead, they just lead differently. Okay? So people are different, but people are predictably different. The reason it's important you remember the dominant fears of all the styles is so you don't, when you're relating with people, you want to avoid their dominant fears. When people are making decisions, they actually make decisions pulling away from whatever is their dominant fear in that equation. Okay, so make sure you know their dominant fears. When you're talking with a D, hey, just make it clear from the upfront. Let them see how you are not trying to take advantage of them and you get them. You're talking with an I, let them see how they're not going to be rejected regardless of the outcome of whatever decisions that you guys are making and the I's aim. You're talking to an S, just make sure they know that there's safety, security, and they're in, because you're addressing their dominant fears. You're talking to a C, if I get it wrong, I'm not going to be criticized and things like that, then the C is in. So make sure you just remember the dominant fears, whether they're your children, whether they're your parents, whether they're your colleagues, this thing works across the board. People are different. The people are predictably different. The personality goals of a D is to have control. That of an I is to have fun. That of a C is to have perfection. And that of an S is to have security. I've already talked about this. Let's see. Talked about this. Let's see. 2 minutes. Okay, so more on communication tips. When you're talking with a D, don't ramble or repeat yourself too much. You lose them. You're talking with an I, let them talk, and don't eliminate social time. You're talking with a C, make sure you're speaking facts, evidence. Okay? You're talking with an S, don't be pushy, don't be aggressive, don't be demanding, abrupt, or controversial. Why am I emphasizing on the S? 69% of the people you're going to meet are S. So it becomes so important to actually get the S, because you're most likely relating to them in your family, at work, your businesses, and things like that. Okay, so let's see. People are different. People are predictably different. Let me pause here and take questions if you have any. Yes. Sorry.
I have a question about, you were showing the outgoing and the introverted and for the other two, but it was, I'm pretty sure I'm an I and a C, and it looked like they were like kind of diametrically opposed
yes.
in those ways.
Yes.